of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the wonderful people here on the island of Nevis, those on Sexy Sing Kits, those who are listening throughout the Caribbean. Good evening to our friends and family in the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, in Taiwan, wherever you are, and you're tuning to On The Mark, our students studying in Cuba. Good evening to you, and welcome to another edition of On The Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and I'm here tonight. I have a very special guest. I'm going to introduce him in a minute. But before I do so, let me take the opportunity at the top of the show to send special greetings out to the man I know as Lloyd Payne. Lloydie, Boko. Lloydie, if you're listening, I know you're there in New York. Your daughter Bernie got in touch and she wanted me to say that the entire family appreciates you so much. That she and the other children appreciate you, that they love you, and of course they are grateful to you for all that you have done and continue to do for them. I thought I would say so because last week I should have said so, but I didn't see the message until rather late. So Lloydie, if you're listening, all the best. They just want you to celebrate life because of all you've done for them, and I trust and hope that you appreciate that they appreciate you. And of course, in this life, ultimately, that's what matters, that we appreciate each other. And so the children are sending you all the love in the world. And are saying, I think, Ayun, Bernie, Lynette, and of course, Tracy in Canada. And they're sending you all the love in the world. So, Lloydie, if you're listening, I pray and hope that you're well. And of course, I'm saying greetings to everybody in New York, to my aunt, Baby, to Trevor, to Jerry, to, of course, Helen, Soraya, the whole entire New York crew, New York clan. And how can I forget my dear friend Valerie, who I was there today, Valerie, when we were having a conversation. You didn't even know I was sitting there, but I was sitting there when you were talking to your sister Mem. And I trust and hope that all is well with you. I know you've been going through a lot, but know that you're in our prayers as always. Ladies and gentlemen, it is absolutely a pleasure to be here. It's another Wednesday evening, and we know on Wednesdays from 8 to 10 we have a good show here. The only platform of its kind where we have 2 hours of commercial-free talk radio. And this is made possible through the generosity of the law firm of Daniel Brantley, which pays the bills so that we can be here. And of course, through the permission of VON Radio under the management of the one and only Everett Weber Herbert. I'm grateful to them because for the past decade and a half they've allowed me to be here and in a way to grow up, and it feels nowadays like growing old here on the show and on the radio station here at VON Radio. Now, we as always are going to have a discussion about most and many things, but tonight I won't bore you with any long soliloquy because I have here a very eloquent, very accomplished gentleman who is with me, and he'll be with me for the next 2 hours, and I speak of none other than the Honorable Eric Rohan Evelyn, the mayor of Gingerland, the man who they say some people, present themselves and offer themselves. He was called. He was summoned by the people of St. George to come and serve them, and he has answered that call. And so, Eric, I know you're no stranger to the show. You've hosted the show on many occasions. I, in fact, suggested to you that you took the whole show tonight, and you said, no, I want to be a guest. So, Eric is here with me, my brother, Eric Evelyn. Welcome to On The Mark.
Thank you very much, Mark, and it is indeed a pleasure to be here. Of course, as you said, no stranger. It's always a pleasure to be here on the On The Mark show. Of course, as you would have rightly said, that this is the most widely listened to show, and of course, I believe everyone would agree with that, because of course, on a Wednesday night, Mark, I believe that everybody, everywhere, in St. Kitts and Nevis, throughout the region, around the diaspora, they put everything else aside because they want to listen to On The Mark. And I know a lot of people are tuned in, and I want to say good night to all of you who are tuned into the On The Mark show. And it is a wonderful evening here in Queen City, Nevis on this beautiful Wednesday night. And it is my pleasure to be here with our regular host for tonight, on the Honorable Mark Brantley. And as he rightly said, he would have told me, take the show. I said, no, I prefer to come on the show with you so we can have a conversation. So I'm indeed happy to be here. I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here tonight. I have some information to impart to the general public, and so I'm happy to be here. But before I do so, I just wanted to, apart from just greeting everyone, I wanted to extend some birthday greetings to at least two persons in my constituency who I know who are celebrating today. Lornette Powell over there in Harris Village. Lornette, hope you're having a wonderful birthday. I hope you've had a great day so far. And Bernard Robbie Webb up there in Rollins. Robbie, hope you had a great day as well. And of course, my good friend Joyce Hennis there in Stony Grove. Joyce, continue to feel better, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your birthday. And of course, I would have had Mr. Elton Archibald up in Rollins, who would have made 80 earlier this week, and Mr. James Brown there in Church Ground, who would have made 90 last week, and I was there this morning to celebrate with him from social services. So let me extend some birthday greetings to those folks. And I want to extend some congratulations. One of my staff members from the Department of Environment on St. Kitts was ordained. He and his wife were ordained on Sunday afternoon at the Ignite Church there on Old Hospital Road. And so they are two pastors who will be joining the ranks here on the island of Nevis, and we want to welcome both of you wholeheartedly. That's Rudell and Celine Williams. And it was a wonderful, enriching service, and I want to say heartiest congratulations to you, Rudell. I know you do a tremendous amount of work at the Department of Environment, and if you can take that level of service that you provide to the Department of Environment into the ministry, I believe that you will do a great job here on the island of Nevis. I also want to extend some sympathy, Mark. We got some really sad news today about one of our relatives, and it is still shaking me up. Morris from there in Handys Road, Morris Maynard. I'm sure a lot of persons know him, and it really sent shockwaves throughout Nevis today when we learned of the passing of Morris. I saw him at the hospital last Wednesday. Unfortunately, when I went there, he was asleep. Didn't get a chance to speak to him, but I was really taken aback when I heard the news today that Morris had passed. So to all of the relatives, Isla, and all of the family and friends of Morris, sincerest condolences to you, of course. Morris was a young man, very vibrant, and just buried his mom just a couple of months ago, 6 months ago. You know, and so this really took everyone by storm today. And so I'm extending condolences to the entire family. And also I want to extend some condolences to the Farrell family up there in Church Ground on the loss of Gertrude. And of course the loss of Imelda, her family, who worked here at Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse. And to the Parry family over there in Cotton Ground, I know you lost your mom, who was a faithful member of the seniors group over in St. Thomas's Parish. And of course, so your loss is our loss. And of course, this is a small community. And of course, when anybody loses anyone, we all share in your loss. Now, Mark, to the main thing why I'm here this evening.
But before you get into that, Eric,
yes.
I just allow me a moment
Sure,
just to join you in expressing congratulations and happy birthday to the celebrants that you've identified. I want to single out my good friend Lornette as well. I did wish her a happy birthday today via social media, but certainly this gives me an opportunity. I wasn't aware of the young man from Rollins who's celebrating. Robbie, you said?
Yes.
I think his name? I wasn't aware of him, but I would really want to wish him as well. And of course to our seniors who continue to have long life, and we wish them good health and continued happiness. Let me also, Eric, join you in extending condolences. Morris, yes, is our family. Maybe something you didn't know about Morris is that certainly when I was a boy in Handys Road, he always used to make kites for me.
Okay.
And he taught me, in fact, how to make kites. We used to make kites with using flour, or clamachary.
Right.
And he really taught me how, and he and I have always had a very close relationship, and In fact, you were the one who shared the news with me earlier, and I was quite shocked to hear that we had lost Morris. So to all his family members and to all of those who are grieving, we want to extend our deepest condolences to them as well. At the top of the show, we tend to try to send commendations where they're appropriate and to send condolences where they're appropriate. And so I would want to join you in that, Eric. That's a rich tradition that we've had here on the Mark, and I would certainly want to join you in expressing condolences to all of those who mourn at this particular time. Before you get into what I know you want to get into as well, let me take the opportunity to say that we have a pretty major announcement, I think. We know that here on the island of Nevis, as a direct response to COVID and the effort by our government to try and diversify the Nevis economy, that we would have engaged with MSR Media and started a film industry from nothing, essentially. And we have had 4 films now produced, and the first of those films is going to go live to an international audience on February 14th. That is when it will have its international viewing on all the streaming platforms. And I think we're all proud, Eric, that the film A Week in Paradise, through the partnership between the NIA and MSR Media, they're offering a screening, a Nevis premiere of that film on Saturday, February 12th at 6 p.m. at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park at Pinnes. The admission is free. They're asking persons to arrive and be seated by 5:45. We will disseminate more information, but this, I think, Nivision should be really proud of, because this is the first feature film shot here, and through discussions between the NIA and MSR Media, they have agreed quite kindly to allow the people of Nevis to see the film in live and living color. And I believe Nivisians will be proud of that, because they will see themselves, they will see their island, and they're seeing it in a very special way. And so it will be on February the 12th at 6 p.m. at the Malcolm Gishard Park, and of course all protocols will have to be observed. The admission is free, but the idea really is that persons will be outdoors, they will be on the lawns of the park, and we will have the big screens that people will view, so that we don't have any type of crowding. That's very important, so that we stay within the parameters that have been set. We well understand that COVID-19 is still with us, but we think that this is a momentous event for the island of Nevis and for the people of Nevis. It's one thing to talk about the movies, it's another thing now to see it complete, ready for worldwide distribution. And the fact that we're getting a first view here on the island of Nevis, I thought that that was really something special. And so Saturday the 12th at 6 p.m. at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, and more information will be shared in short order. Eric, I turn things now over to you. I know that you have a lot to share with the public. What is it Eric Evelyn is up to? That's what people want to know.
Okay, well, just before I get into what I'm up to, I want to join with you, Mark, because I think it is a huge, huge moment for us. And we ought to be very, very proud of what we have accomplished through these movies being made here on the island of Nevis. And I think that first movie, Mark, the name of it, A Week in Paradise?
Yes.
I think that name is so appropriate, because from what we're going to be seeing from this movie, it's going to be portraying Nevis. And Nevis is certainly paradise. Those who call Nevis home, those who visit Nevis, will all agree that Nevis is very close to paradise. And so I am one of the persons who are very, very proud of this accomplishment by the Nevis Island Administration. And I believe all of Nevis, at home and abroad, should be exceptionally proud of this signal achievement in getting movies being made here on the island of Nevis. And so we are happy that the first one will be going worldwide on the 14th of February, and we're going to have a screening on the 12th. And just before I get into the meat of what I'm going to say as well, I also want to say, as you mentioned social media a while ago, I want to remind persons who normally follow my page, my Facebook page. I am not really too big on social media like the Honorable Premier. Now he's a guru. He's the Dan when it comes to social media. But I would have posted, something would have been posted on my page sometime back, and I just want to remind persons that I do not have an Instagram account. I do not communicate on Facebook Messenger. I communicate on WhatsApp only. I do not have a US phone number, WhatsApp phone number, because unscrupulous persons out there continue to steal my identity, and they continue to message persons, and persons have been calling, persons have been messaging me, asking me, do you have an Instagram account? I do not have an Instagram account. If you see anything on Messenger from me, purportedly me, it is not me. I do not communicate on Facebook Messenger. So please, when the scammers are after you, they're after you for money. So please do not respond when you get messages purportedly from me on social media. As I said, I communicate strictly on WhatsApp and telephone calls. Now, to the meat of what I wanted to speak about, Mark, I want to do some activities in the constituency of St. George in the month of February. And reason being, I think as a people, we here on the island of Nevis and in the Federation, and I believe across the region as well, I believe we do not take enough pride in our country. And I want to commend here and now this Nevis Solid Waste Management Authority for doing a marvelous job.
Excellent.
It's an excellent job in trying to keep our country clean. And since I've taken over the position of Environment Minister in the Federal Cabinet, I've become even more passionate about cleanliness and keeping the island and the nation clean. The Solid Waste Management Authority, I think, is doing a tremendous job, but we as individuals, I think we can do a lot more. And I want to encourage persons to do more. We have been speaking about indiscriminate dumping for years now, and people continue to get involved in indiscriminate dumping. People continue to throw things out of their windows. And as I speak about that, I want to commend two persons in particular. A gentleman by the name of Gary Cooper and a lady by the name of Melinda. Because, Mark, you know that they have been doing so much work in terms of trying to keep the island of Nevis clean. They take it upon themselves to go on the island main road almost on a daily basis. I think it's somewhere over in the Newcastle area, from the airport going over to, I think, the Wally Pier, and I think coming as far as the bypass road. And they do so much work in trying to keep our island clean. They're not from here, but they have seen it fit to do that as a service to us. And when I was passing there over in the St. James area, I think it was about a week and a half ago, I saw them and I had to stop to commend them, because I believe that this service is really commendable, and it is something that we should pattern. We as residents and nationals of Nevis and of the Federation, we should pattern that. Cleanliness, as we used to hear when we were growing up, is next to godliness, and we need to ensure that we keep our island clean. Persons should not be coming here to ensure that Nevis is clean. We who are here need to keep Nevis clean for ourselves first, and then for the visitors. And so I'm trying to organize a few activities in the month of February, which I call Let's Clean Up in February for St. George Gingerland. And so this coming Saturday, I've organized a white goods cleanup, because I know there are lots of persons in the constituency who have white goods. We're talking about things like your old washing machine, refrigerator, stove, anything that is large that would not go in the regular garbage, things like your old microwave ovens and that sort of stuff. And the need is there, and I believe that once we do this, it could deter people from wanting to dump things indiscriminately. And so I will be providing that opportunity on this Saturday and the following Saturday. That's the 5th and the 12th of February. Some bins will be placed in various sections, various locations in the community, And those 6 areas that are not serviced this Saturday will be serviced the following Saturday. And so I want persons to listen very carefully. So on this Saturday, the 5th of February, 6 bins will be out in the Gingerland area. And the bins will be placed, one will be placed at the bottom of Zion, one in Hickman's in the community center yard, one at Rollins on that empty lot of land next to Jewel Shop. One will be down at Hard Times, right there next to the playing field. One will be in Hanley's Road, in that lot of land, that empty lot of land above Chairman Shop. And then one will be in the Clegot area, in that area there by the Sandwich just opposite where Myrtle normally sells there on a weekend. Now, persons may ask, how am I going to get my white goods to these bins? For those of you who have transportation to take your white goods to the bins, please take them yourself. If you do not, because I know some persons will not have the means of getting the white goods to the bins. And so those of you who do not have means of getting the white goods to the bins, there will be a truck to service each of the 6 bins. Now, the notice would have gone on the radio this morning, and the moment the notice went on, I've been getting called. So it means that the need is there for the white goods cleanup. And so those of you who would need assistance in getting your items to the bins, you can either call me, 662-6043, or you can call the truck driver who will service the bin in the area. And I'm going to give you the numbers and the names of the drivers who will be servicing those bins. Now, I know most likely there will be a lot of stuff to take to the bins. And what I've been told by Solid Waste is that the drivers will be monitoring the bins all day, and they will empty the bins when they are full, and they will bring them back. So even if your white goods are not cleared in the first trip, they will be cleared in the second and third, and how many trips that can make that day. And as I said, if you do not get your white goods out on this Saturday, we will also have a second round on the 12th. And so the Zion bin will be serviced by Mr. Junior Mulcair. His number is 668-1290. So if you're over in the Zion area and you want your items to go to the bin down at the bottom of Zion, you can call me or you can call Mr. Mulcair, 668-1290. In the Hickmans, that bin will be serviced by Mr. Michael Swanston, and his number is 661-1445. In the Rollins area, up at the top of Rollins, that bin will be serviced by Mr. Philip Walters, and his number is 669-3707. In Hard Times, that bin will be serviced by Chairman Simmons. His number is 665-2105. In Hanley's Road, that bin will be serviced by Teshron Maynard. His number is 664-1288. And in Clegot, that bin will be serviced by Paula Morton. His number is 660-2212. So if you have goods, because I said I've already been getting calls, so it means the need is there. So if you have goods and you do not have means of getting the goods to the bins, kindly call me or call the designated driver to service your bin. Now, I know that there's some areas that will not be serviced for this Saturday. For example, I know I would have gotten calls from Matchmans. Matchmans will be serviced on the following Saturday on the 12th. Places like Maynard Ground, they will be serviced on the following Saturday. So we're going to try to cover the entire constituency of St. George this Saturday, the 5th, and the following Saturday, the 12th. Now, cleaning up the white goods is just part of the cleanup effort for the parish in February. And so on the 19th of February, Saturday the 19th of February, I want all of us in St. George, Gingerland to join hands. And maybe not only in St. George, wherever you are, I want us to join hands to do a cleanup. And so we want to do an entire constituency-wide or village or community cleanup on the 19th of February. And so I'm going to be trying to organize with persons in the different areas to lead. And you as well, wherever you are, all you can do is to come out and clean up in front of your in front of your gate. Because a lot of the time, sometimes, Mark, persons go inside their gate, they see maybe a plastic bottle or a plastic bag outside on the ground, and they leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
That is not good. And so I want to encourage us to have a constituency-wide cleanup on the 19th, and then on the 26th, the following Saturday, we're going to be doing a beach and coastline cleanup down in the Indian Castle area. I've already spoken to the president of one of the new Fishers Association in that area. I'll be speaking to the other Fisher Association members. I'll be speaking to members of the Turtle Group and persons from Hanley's Road who want to come down and assist. We're going to do a coastline cleanup on the 26th. And so for the whole of February, we are focusing on keeping St. George Gingerland clean. This Saturday, the 5th, and the next Saturday, the 12th, we're doing white goods. On the 19th, we're focusing on the general community cleanup. And then on the 26th, we'll be focusing on the coastline. And I want involvement of members of the community. Mm-hmm. And so I'm reaching out. And so we have time for those of you who would want to assist in the village and community cleanup on the 19th. We can discuss that. Those who would want to reach out and assist with the beach and coastal cleanup in the area of St. George on the 26th, we welcome you. And I said, I want persons to have more national pride. I met with the British High Commissioner and two others yesterday. And I was so happy when the first thing they said to me, when I asked them, how was the ride over from St. Kitts? Because I believe this is your first visit to Nevis. And I was so happy and pleasantly surprised when they said to me, they were so pleased and impressed with how clean Nevis was. And that is what we want to see. We want to see a pristine destination. We want to see a clean destination. Because the cleaner we are, the more healthy we would be. And so I want to designate this month as cleanup month for the parish of St. George Gingerland. And I'm looking for persons to come on board to assist with the cleanup.
Eric, you have said a lot, and I can only say thank you. I believe that these initiatives are important. It is interesting that this initiative of yours for the entire month of February dovetails very nicely into the ministry for which you're responsible in St. Kitts,
yes.
Ministry of the Environment. And of course, you would have recently represented the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis as the head of delegation at COP26, the climate conference that was held in Glasgow, Scotland.
Yes.
And of course, we would have been very impressed with your representation. I think it was your very first outing on the international stage as the head of a delegation for purposes of an international conference such as that.
Yes.
Can you share with us a little bit as to what that experience was like?
Well, I must say that it was such an overwhelming experience, Mr. Premier. It was very worthwhile. I hadn't a clue that the conference would be of that magnitude, to be honest with you. I was a little hesitant from the beginning because of the COVID-19 situation. And that would have been the first time I would have been traveling since the pandemic. And so I was a little hesitant. But the staff in St. Kitts insisted, Mr. Minister, you need to go and experience the COP26 conference. And so I would have yielded to the staff in St. Kitts, and so I would have attended along with two other persons from the ministry and the department in St. Kitts. And I must say, I am so happy that I would have gone to represent the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis at that conference. It is a very massive conference. I think it is one of the biggest in the world. Mm-hmm. I think upwards of over 25,000 persons would have registered for the conference. And there were two designated areas. There was an area that is called the blue zone and an area that was called the green zone. And the one of the zones is the zone where most of the NGOs were. And the other zone, which was the main zone, is where most the government and government officials were. I hadn't a clue that it was going to attract so many world leaders as well. But I think people would realize now, from those of us who continue to watch the news, that one of the biggest items that people talk about now is the environment. Because practically a lot of the things that are happening around the world, things that are happening globally that are affecting us, all of the hurricanes, all of the natural disasters, all of the sea level rise, all of this is because of what is happening with climate change and the environment. And what we don't realize, if we do not arrest some of these, what we are doing, some islands actually stand of being underwater. And, you know, so, and of course we know how hot the sun has been sometimes. You've been getting some excessive heat, and all of that is because of climate change. And if we do not halt some of what we're doing, if we do not try to reduce our emissions, planet Earth could be in trouble, and we as humans could be in trouble. And so this conference is as a means of trying to get especially the industrialized nations, because strange enough, we in the smaller states, we suffer the most from these natural disasters, and we are not the ones who have created this problem. This problem has been created by the industrialized nations. And so the conference is a means of bringing all of the parties together. And it is very important, as the High Commissioner would have pointed out yesterday, to me, it is very important that small island states like St. Kitts and Nevis are at the table. And so I'm happy that I was able to represent the Federation of St. Kitts at the table. And of course, our voices could be heard, because we are being affected here in St. Kitts and Nevis and the region. And so it's a means of bringing everyone together and negotiating as to what we can do to arrest the problem. And so it was a lot of negotiation, a lot of long days, a lot of late nights, and you don't even get the weekends off. You had to work practically every day, and sometimes you work into the night until all after midnight, because there are sometimes the industrialized nations don't want to give, and then the pressure has to be brought to bear. And of course, the other thing, one of the big things is that we are pushing the bigger countries to give more money for climate finance. Because of all of what is happening, we need to do adaptation. Sometimes we need to get money for loss and damage. And as I kept saying at every opportunity I got at the conference, a lot of the times the big islands, they pledge money. So the money is there on paper. But then to access the financing is the biggest hurdle. And so that is what a lot of the smaller island states always have to be trying to push. We want more climate finance, and we want to be able to access the finance a lot easier. And so there was a lot of give and take, and from all the reports, the conference was indeed a successful one. And so as I said, I was able to make quite a number of presentations there, Mark. I was surprised because I did not know that so many, there would have been so many other side events apart from the main meetings. And the side events try to grab all of the ministers of government. The prime ministers were there. And so I ended up having to make numerous other presentations apart from the one that I made as the minister to the conference indeed. So it was a worthwhile effort, and I believe St. Kitts and Nevis was recognized there in a very big way. And I think we have been placed on the map even more because we have been recognized even more from our presence there at COP26.
Good. Well, congratulations. I, looking from a distance, was very, very proud. I should tell you, I thought that St. Kitts and Nevis was not only represented, but marvelously represented at that conference. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to On the Mark. It is 25 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. We will open the phones in a bit so you can call and make your contribution. I have just been sent a note here all the way from Georgia in the United States, and asked to announce that the Rouse Foundation Inc. presents their 8th annual Go for Red 2022, celebrating women's heart health. COVID long haulers, my COVID journey, intergenerational COVID effects. Presentation by none other than our dear friend, Dr. Charlie Rouse, MD, FACC. Saturday, February 5th, that this coming Saturday, 2022, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. via Zoom. To register for this event, most important, visit rousefoundation.org. ROUSEFOUNDATION.org, rousefoundation.org. And I believe this should be a fascinating event, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. this coming Saturday. Go for Red, celebrating women's heart health. And this is our dear friend, a friend of Nevis, someone who has come here and offered his assistance for free and his expertise for free, and has brought people with him to offer the expertise, Dr. Charlie Rouse. And I would want to thank my dear friend Ursula, who is there in Villarica in Georgia, and of course her dearly departed mom, also called Ursula, was who introduced Dr. Rouse to us. And so we're very grateful for that. And it's interesting, Eric, that I would be asked all the way from the state of Georgia to speak about something and announce something on my show.
Because a lot of people in Georgia would be listening.
People are listening in Georgia, people are listening all over, and I hope they'll go to the rousefoundation.org and register for this very timely Zoom intervention. Eric, I am, as I said, I can hear the passion as you talk about the environment, and certainly I think that at the federal level you have brought that passion to bear. At the international level in Glasgow you brought that passion to bear. And here you are doing a month-long cleanup in your beloved parish of St. George, which benefits St. George but also benefits the island of Nevis.
Indeed.
I'm happy that you started out by congratulating the people at Solid Waste. You know, sometimes I take a little exercise at mornings, and I'm always amazed that whilst most of us are still asleep, the workers at Solid Waste are on the job. And we wake up sometimes, we don't even realize that they were there.
Right.
But the trash is collected. It's almost as if magic, it's gone. I believe there was a politician in St. Kitts who said poof, and it's gone.
Right.
Now, what I'm concerned about is sometimes the unfortunate criticism that is leveled at our public servants. People, Eric, who go beyond the norm, go well above and beyond sometimes in order to ensure that our island is kept clean. And as you rightly pointed out, cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yes,
cleanliness is necessary if we are to be healthy.
Of course.
Cleanliness is necessary for us, but also necessary for those who visit us.
Indeed.
And that is why when you shared with me that the High Commissioner from the United Kingdom was so moved that he expressed how clean he found Nevis, I said kudos to what we've been trying to do, and kudos to Andrew Hendrickson Murray and the entire team, Rudy Brown, the entire team, the board of directors at the Solid Waste, and the workers
Indeed.
who make what they do possible. I know, because I have regular, it is something that I'm very passionate about, I have regular engagements with Murray. Matter of fact, just tonight coming here to the show, he and I were texting about the need to get some additional equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the difficulty. The other day, for example, we had an issue with trucks, and some of the trucks were breaking down. We had to do some innovative things, and he called me, told me about his frustration, but he got it done. And I'm saying to the public sometimes, while we're quick to criticize, and yes, sometimes criticisms are warranted. In fact, in a democracy, we expect criticism because we have this thing called freedom of speech.
Right.
But that freedom of speech also allows you sometimes to commend
Of course.
and to say, well done.
Which we don't do enough
We
of.
don't do any of a lot of times.
It's unfortunate.
You know, I saw some foolish video that was sent to me. And in that video, some individual, I don't know who the individual is driving around the parish of St. James and saying, oh, look at all the garbage that people have put outside their gates. Now the garbage is in bags, nicely tied up outside the gates.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the garbage. There are no bins to put garbage in. And I said, but how foolish? Because that is garbage collection day.
Right.
Because we were house-to-house collection of garbage in Nevis. People know the truck is going to come on Thursday morning.
Indeed.
And so they put
religiously.
Exactly, and they put their garbage outside their gate to be collected.
Indeed.
Not to be left there. They haven't dumped it there. They have kept it in their house until that day, 2 and sometimes 3 days a week, that the garbage is to be collected. Now any sensible division knows that. But instead of that, Here's somebody driving around and said, "Oh, look, a bag is there. The bag is nicely tied and put there clearly, house by house, put out for collection."
Indeed.
And I recall speaking to our legal advisor. I don't think she would be upset if we said so. And she, of course, had lived for many years in the British Virgin Islands. And she was commenting that in parts there, you had to take your garbage to a tip.
Indeed.
You had to transport it and take it somewhere. Here in Nevis, solid waste comes to you.
Indeed.
They come to you. I call it door-to-door service.
It
That's
is.
what we have here.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think rather than the constant criticism and the constant negativity, sometimes, man, we should tell these people you're doing a good job and thank you.
We should.
Thank you, because a lot of times it is difficult work. It is work that many are not prepared to do.
Precisely.
But they're out there, they're doing it. So I'm very happy that you started off your comments by commending them, because I really feel that they're doing an excellent job. You go around this island, we're far from perfect. And you're also correct to invite and encourage our people to take more pride,
of course,
in Nevis. Not to dump things out of their car.
Precisely.
Not to throw styrofoam and cups and bottles out, and to dump indiscriminately. Because as you know, and as I know, a lot of times truckers who are to take people's white goods, to take trash from point A to the dump, they find illegal sites to dump this at. And a lot of times people again go to social media with these videos, "Oh, look, is what's happening, look here, they're dumping our guts." And I say to our people, stop it, because it is untidy, it is unclean. Sometimes when I see people do it, I say, I wonder how they keep their house.
Precisely.
I wonder how they keep their house.
I said that in Parliament, in the federal Parliament in December.
So we have to, Eric, and I agree, continue to encourage each other, but part of that is that our society must not just be all about criticism and condemnation. We must also be sometimes willing to pat somebody on the back.
Precisely.
And say, well done. And that is sometimes missing, especially when you get the politics involved in it.
Yes, and it's not necessary,
Right?
Mark. It's not necessary. Because a lot of the times people, they actually, some people look for something to criticize, They go around and they look for something
Well, look at
to
the example I'm
criticize.
giving you.
Yes.
That the people have put out their trash as they know how to put it out for collection, and somebody gonna take a video and complain about they don't have no bins to put it in. Complete nonsense.
Precisely. And as you rightly said, I mean, sometimes persons who are supposed to be responsible, who are aspiring to be leaders, they criticize for every little thing. And I mean, why would we be criticizing someone like Andrew Hendrickson, who has, because Mark, we have come a long way with solid waste,
Oh my goodness.
We have come a long way with regards to solid waste. We remember the days when we had maybe just about 2 garbage trucks on the island of Nevis. Garbage was not being collected twice per week in the villages. Sometimes the garbage was piling up. And we have come such a long way. And we need to commend the people at Solid Waste, the head and all the workers, including those who work on the trucks, because those guys are diligent. And sometimes, as you said, it's not easy, because sometimes they go and they meet the garbage scattered. Animals come and pull the garbage out, so they have to do some extra work. And so we are asking persons on the island to work with yourselves, work with the guys, and please let us try as much as possible to keep this beautiful island paradise. Let us keep it it cannot be a paradise unless it's clean. So we want us all to work together. Everyone.
Good.
All hands on deck to keep Nevis clean.
Well, Eric, I love the initiative. I know the people of St. John's are listening, and I know the question is going to be, when is St. John's turn? But St. John's, hold on. I never let you down. So we would have done our cleanup in St. James. I believe the Honourable Alexis Jeffers, our Deputy Premier, he would have led the charge in St. James and St. Thomas's.
Yes.
Some work was done as well. You are now taking it to St. George.
And Gran would have done it in Charleston as well.
You would have done it in St. Paul's. So it's for me now to deal with the more populous and most populous parish of St. John's. So I'll let you all do what you need to do, and then I will have to do what I need to do. But certainly I think this is an initiative that is worthwhile, that is necessary, and I believe it ought to be commended. I know you have a lot of other initiatives, but you decided you'll only share for now what you're going to do in February.
Right.
And so we look forward certainly to those initiatives. Eric, could you just quickly, before I open the phones, tell us again what the initiatives are in terms of the dates?
Okay, yes, because I'm sure a lot of people may have tuned in late.
Yes.
And so for this month of February, I call it Let's Clean Up. And so for February 5th and the 12th, that is this coming Saturday, and the following Saturday, we're doing white goods cleanup. We're focusing on white goods. So if you have white goods, and I know a lot of people have white goods, your white goods will be taken up. The bins in Gingerland will be located in Zion, the bottom of Zion, Hickman's Community Center Yard, Rollins up by the empty lot of land by Jules Shop, then at Hard Times close to the playfield, Hanley's Road in that lot of land, empty lot of land above Chairman Shop, and then in Clegot, right there by the sandwich tree, opposite to where Myrtle normally sells. And let me just remind you, if you do not have transportation to get your stuff there, if you have transportation, please take them there in the bin. And as I said, the bins will be emptied and replaced during the day. If you do not have transportation and you need help, you can call my number 662-6043, or you can call it trucker for each of the bin, because each of the bins will be serviced by a truck. For Zion, Junior Mulkey will service that bin, 668-1290. Rollins, Hickman's, Michael Swanston will service that bin, 661-1445. Rollins, Philip Walters will service that bin. His number is 669-3707. Hard Times, Chairman will service that bin, 663-2105. Hanley's Road, Teshron Maynard will service that bin, 664-1288. Clegot, Polo Morton will service that bin. His number is 660-2212. And as I indicated, the areas that will not be serviced this Saturday will be serviced the following Saturday. So we want to cover the entire community, the entire parish. And then on Saturday the 19th of February, we want to do a parish-wide cleanup where we want all the villages to join in. And it wouldn't take much time, because thankfully the villages are not very, very dirty. But sometimes you go along the side of the road and you see plastic bottles and that sort of stuff. We want persons to join hands to come out and clean the communities on that Saturday. And then the final Saturday in February, on the 26th, we're doing a beach and coastline cleanup in the area, Indian Castle, Landing Bay, and those places down there. And as I said, I'll be enlisting the support of the fishermen, the turtle group, and other persons from the community to assist us in keeping St. George's clean and Nevis clean.
Good. That is the Honorable Eric Evelyn, the Mayor of Gingerland, and now the Mayor of St. George Parish. Some may say the Mayor of Nevis. And he is really bringing a packed month of February, a definite commitment to the environment, and inviting the general public to come out and be a part of it, and inviting more specifically the people of St. George to come out and be a part of it. I think these are the type of community efforts when we should all hold hands and undertake, because it benefits all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 10 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. We will open the lines just to start to take a sample of calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. If you're just tuned in, you're listening to the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, On the Mark. And I'm your host, Mark Brantley. This evening I have with me, it is my honor and pleasure, the Honorable Eric Evelyn. Let's go back to the phones now. Good evening, you're On the Mark.
Miss Sheriff, good night.
How are you, my dear?
Well, I'm giving God thanks.
Wonderful.
I agree with you with the cleanup. Some people are too dirty. That's why I'm afraid to eat from people. Psalm 37, verse 2 and 3. Trust in the Lord. Do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desire of thine heart. Good night, culture. Sympathy is going out to all who lose their loved one. Come in, culture. I want to hear you.
All right, thank you very much. And I don't know why you're always inviting Culture. Like, Culture need your invitation. Culture has been a part of the show as long as you. So take it easy and let Culture relax. You know, he can come in later. And if he starts to sing, we know he can bust. So we expect that to happen. Let us go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Honorable.
Good evening to you. How are you tonight?
Doing wonderful.
Wonderful. Good to hear you.
Good evening, Honorable.
Hi, good evening. How you doing? How is mommy?
She's well.
Fantastic. All right.
Don't worry about failures. Worry about the chances you miss when you don't even try. I repeat, don't worry about failures. Worry about the chances you miss when you don't even try. Have a great evening.
Eric, I think that's very powerful. Thank
yes.
you very much. It's very powerful.
As always.
Some people just don't try.
That's right.
And if you don't try, then that means you've already failed.
Precisely.
So, you know, sometimes I tell people it's important to try. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Mark.
How are you? I'm well, thank you.
I'm good. You alone there?
No, I'm with the Honorable Eric Evelyn.
Oh, I thought you went out the window because I just said earlier, puff.
No, the puff wasn't for him. The puff was for other things.
Oh, good. Good evening, environment, Eric.
Good night, sir. Good night. How you doing?
I'm good. That's what EE means.
Okay.
And I always have to commend you for your passion in cleanliness. Because I heard one time you were coming down on the boat. And when you stay on the boat and you see how one of the beach down here look, you tell the captain, you ask the captain if he could pull over there by the beach and put you out there and start clean up. He said, no, you have to go by the pier. and as soon as you went by the pier, you went straight, go buy some garbage bag, and you went over there by the beach and you started cleaning up. And other people join in. So I want to say, you got the right portfolio from the federal government and also from the NOA. Mr. Clean Up, Mr. Cleanliness. And I love that. We have some people around in both islands. Just like Brother Mark mentioned earlier o'clock. Now the people put out their garbage. That the truck, when it come, you pick it up. Because down here they tell you, do not put out your garbage before the day when the truck come in. And we know that the truck come in such and such a day, they put them up. But like you said, there are people just wake up in the morning and they all they're concerned about and the motive is to look for something to make negative response about it. They can't say anything positive about anything. And so therefore they even though they know that the garbage is only there for a couple of hours when the truck come and they pick it up and they go and go put it on Facebook and all this kind of thing. And they must stop doing this kind of thing, man. Don't call them your country. Keep your country up. And I want to commend Webber. When I tell Webber that I have him in the first 5 radio talk show host and the owner of a radio station, because the standard that Webber set on his radio station, I wish a lot of people who got radio stations could emulate Webber. Instead of having people on the business that you make your bread from, just demoralizing people, degrading people, and saying all manner of evil, calling on people on your program. No, that is not good. So I want to commend Webber again. He's a great man. He don't believe when I say so, but he can believe it now tonight.
Only the best will do here.
That's why I listen to VON. When I wake up, I listen to it, and before I sleep, I listen to it. The best, I could tell you that, and a lot of people need to emulate Mark show. And when Mark in there, he don't have to wonder what's going on, because Mark has good people behind him to take over his show until he come back. And you all keep it up. Brother Eric?
Yes, sir.
I sent something up here for you last week. I give QT.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to tell you about the radio?
No.
Eric, not study here because by the time you start to tell you, forget.
You gonna bust?
You gonna bust?
I only ain't gonna sing tonight because Mark sent the bus in the shop. So the only foot I have. I'll call back again.
All right, sir. Have a good night. Thank you.
Very much. It's 5 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. and we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Eric, let's talk. Okay, I'm sorry, let me go back to the phones then. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
A real different topic. Good evening. Yeah, and a real different topic. Sport. I'm wondering if the task force has given the official green light for sport. And why is it mandatory that all schools have to go to Mondo track when there are other facilities that is properly fenced and could have the protocol? And if by chance, like, lately it was just announced that probably sports, however, in the year we really want to get to know really if they are happening now, and because the time is so short, if it's possible for a school to have sports in next term, because this time now it's like you're going to be pressuring the children in a late minute sports plus education, and is there an interprimary?
Okay, well, you've asked quite a lot of questions. The questions.
Yeah, and I got some more, so I'm going to call back again.
Okay. The questions which are all very pertinent. The question of sports, just today we were briefed by the Minister of Education, who indicated to us that there had been no final determination, but we were proceeding to make preparations because we think that sport is a critical part of the children's development, and that for 2 years now we have not been able to have any sporting events. Now, the reason why we are saying that the event should be at the Mondo track is because the size of the facility allows us to have spectators, but allows us to have the necessary spacing that might not be possible at some of the smaller grounds that are clearly only for that school. And that is the reason why we felt that we could have a better and more controlled environment at the Mondo facility. That's what it was built for sports, for athletics, and so the idea is to use it for that purpose. And so it is not to take away, because we understand that over the years everybody loved having the sports at the school ground, but we felt that this would allow us the space. So when we go and we're making the case, and believe me, we're making the case, to say to the task force that it is time. It is time because children need that exposure. The community here in Nevis, as we know, enjoys athletics, particularly the school athletics, and then of course the mini Olympics, which we have not had for 2 years. And so really there's a sense that it is now time. COVID has battered and bruised us. COVID has cost us lives and livelihoods. But I also believe that we ought to recognize that we must now have to live with this COVID virus. And we have learned a lot. We are a lot farther along in terms of our knowledge than where we used to be. When we first heard about COVID, none of us knew what to expect. And of course, you can help us and the public can help us if we continue to vaccinate. Because the higher the population is of vaccinated persons, the better off we are. In fact, you would realize that in part because of our good vaccination rates, we did not have the monstrous effects of this latest wave. And what I mean by that is that whilst, yes, we had many people contracting COVID, for most, it was mild to no symptoms. There were hardly any hospitalizations, and thankfully, just a few deaths. I say thankfully, meaning for the number, because of course, any death is one death too many. But when we see in other countries how the morgues were overrun with bodies from this COVID, we have, through the grace of God, been spared that. And so our hearts go out to all those families that have lost loved ones to this monster of COVID. But at the same time, we acknowledge that it could have been a lot worse. In fact, Eric, going back to your comment about the High Commissioner from the UK visiting, that too was one of the things that he said they admired most about St. Kitts and Nevis, that we had done a stellar job across the region, when they look across the region, and indeed across the world, that we had done a stellar job in relation to COVID-19 and its management. But it has been 2 years. March will make it 2 years for us here in terms of when we got our first case. And therefore, we have the tools, we have the knowledge, the vaccine is available, and we must encourage people to uptake. And every week I'm here, I continue to encourage people to take the vaccine. In fact, we are having a marvelous effort now through the Health Promotion Unit, where we have some fantastic prizes available, especially targeting the young people. Something called AirPods. I don't know what name so, Eric, what I'm told is very popular. AirPods, I think they said is an iPhone 13, which is a new iPhone.
Television, I think.
Television, I think 40-inch. And they say not just an ordinary TV, it's a smart TV which is game ready. So those who are doing gaming with the consoles, they can do that. We have various gift cards, I think, for gaming. They can benefit from so much that's available, and that we're using to encourage and to incentivize our young people in particular. And apparently it's not just those who get vaxxed, it is also those who refer them.
Indeed.
Can enter and win some fabulous prizes. So we are going all out here. And so, caller, I think as more people get vaccinated, as the community gets to that level where we have the necessary antibodies built into our system, baked into our DNA, I think in those circumstances we can do a lot more, a lot faster. But at the same time, I am agreeing with you 100% that it is time for us to resume sporting activities, and we would have to have protocols to be sure.
Indeed.
Maybe limited crowds, maybe limited, as they did with CPL, to the vaccinated, but we need our children once again performing, running, jumping, doing the things, because sport, we know, is a critical part of their overall development. And that, I think, is very important. You also learn, Eric, a lot of lessons through sport. Camaraderie, good sportsmanship, teamwork, all of these things, discipline, are critical aspects. And the health aspect of it as well. One of the things that they've noticed during this COVID pandemic is how many people have got obese.
Right.
Because people are not active, people are home, people locked down. And so we need to think about the health aspects and all the psychological and other benefits, the socialization that sports brings. And it is time, in my view, that the case is made, and made passionately, for our schools and our sporting institutions with necessary precautions. Don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting we throw caution to the wind. But it is time that our Mondo track has some tracks on the track again.
Indeed.
And feet on the track again.
Oh, yes.
And young people out there running and doing what we spent all that money and made that massive investment to do. But Eric, while we wait for the calls to come, and I know other people will call in, I wanted to get from you, because of course this is your first term as an elected member of the NIA. You would have entered in 2017.
Yes.
And you would have won your seat convincingly in St. George. And since then, you have served in the Nevis Island administration, having responsibility for youth and sports community development and the like. You also would have come back and ran in 2020, your first federal election, and won convincingly there as well. And of course, now, as we've heard tonight, you serve in the federal parliament as the Minister of the Environment. There's a call on the line, but think about it, because, okay, that caller is no longer there. I wanted to get from you a sense of what you feel have been some of your major accomplishments in your first term. And we understand, Eric, I know people out there, the usual natural neighbors of negativity.
Yes.
They don't like when I say it, but I say it because it's true.
It's fact.
That we have had our term cut short by 2 years.
Big time.
I say so because with the country in lockdown, there was very little that we could have done other than to keep the country afloat, keep the island afloat. We are now seeing the signs of life. In fact, I saw a headline today which says Nevis economy starting to recover.
Good.
That is what we want. And so we understand that we have had a challenge that no other government in Nevis has ever had. In fact, no other government in the region or in the world.
In the world.
Because no other government in the last 100 years has had a pandemic, a global pandemic to deal with. And so I want you to think about it as I go to the lines. They've hung up again. Okay. So I wanted you to think about sharing with us what, in your view, despite the pandemic, you see as some of the major accomplishments in your constituency or in your ministry or both since Eric Rohan Evelyn has been the elected member for the beautiful people of St. George?
And Mark, as you rightly said about the pandemic, it is so disheartening sometimes because of political reasons why people would tell us that we blame the pandemic for everything. But it is a fact that the pandemic has stalled a lot of things because, of course, the revenue stream went way down.
Of course.
And so we couldn't do a lot. And, of course, we were trying to keep the island afloat. As I mentioned to one lady yesterday, we did not dismiss anyone. We did not reduce anyone's pay, irrespective of the fact that the revenue was way down. So as she said that, the pandemic has affected so many people, I said it has affected the government as well, in a huge way. But because of the fiscal prudence and, of course, the great management skills that we have as a government for the island of Nevis and for the Federation, that is why we have been able to do such a magnificent job for the past 2 years. But, Mr. Premier, if I were to start naming all of the accomplishments in my constituency and in my ministry for the past couple of years, as you rightly said, it just came in 2017, I believe I'll be here all night. But I will seek to highlight a few. And as you just...
We have 55 minutes. So you have the pressy.
But I'm going to start where you just came off of. You just came off of the Mondo track, right? Because there has been a lot of much ado about nothing, and a lot of people saying negative things about the Mondo track. But the Mondo track, it has done its work, because we have seen over at the Mondo track, we have seen a lot of athletes go there to display their skill and display their talent. And we have seen, since the Mondo track facility has been there, we have seen an increase in the types of talent and athletic ability that we've had. We saw one of our athletes going to Costa Rica last year, young Leroy Freeman, and he would have benefited from training on the Mondo track. He has now landed a scholarship. He's actually now in New York.
At Monroe College, yes.
At Monroe College, and we're very proud of that.
And in fact, I just saw a news item saying he was part of a medley that broke a record at Monroe.
Well, I wasn't even aware of that, because I sent him a message over the weekend, and he told me, I am on my way to competition, and I'll be taking part in a medley.
Yes.
So that apparently is the medley that he was involved in.
And they broke the record.
And
he ran the 400-meter leg.
Fantastic.
Yes.
He did indicate that he'll be running the 400-meter leg in that medley. And so, apart from the work that we have done in terms of our athletes getting on the track, Mark, of course we know that we have a fantastic infield as well, and we have had issues with football and cricket being played at the EGW Park.
Absolutely.
A lot of the time, sometimes football want to use the park, cricket want to use the park, and so there is that conflict. We have decided, listen, we need to upgrade the infield over there, so at least we can start hosting football matches over there. And so we would have spent a lot of money, we would have spent a lot of time in terms of upgrading that particular area, the infield, to host football matches. And Mark, you were there when we hosted the football matches sometime last year, and I'm sure you were very pleased with what you saw. I interacted with persons who were there that night, and they were very impressed with over there.
Absolutely.
The footballers have been very impressed. Officials from the region, from FIFA, have been very impressed. They have come here, they have looked at our football field, and they have been impressed. And so we have done a lot of improvements there, and our football field now is ready to host national matches, regional matches, and probably even international. I must say that officials from FIFA have been actually looking at the football field since last year. And they were actually planning to bring a sub-regional tournament to Nevis. They had already booked with the Four Seasons, and the pandemic came, and of course things had to be stalled. But so people, the officials from FIFA have been looking at our football field, and they're saying this is a spanking facility that we need to take advantage of. And so now that we have the football field up and running at the Mondo track. We are trying our utmost. I know the Department of Sports are working diligently in terms of getting matches here, regional matches as well as international matches, and we believe that we could have quite a bit of sports tourism right over there at the Mondo track. And of course people will continue to lament about we not having the stadium, but the fact is without the stadium the track continues to do its work.
But if you had built the stadium and didn't have the track, what would have been the value of it?
Precisely.
Because the value in the facility is the track.
Indeed.
Because, Eric, you mentioned, of course, why the track was built. Recall that before that state-of-the-art Mondo track was laid, the only 8-lane track that was in the region at the time using Mondo's latest technology, with full lights and everything else that was put there, and the infield that you now talk about, that our children used to run on grass.
Of course.
And dirt. And I keep emphasizing that because we were criticized when we built the track, Remember when we were doing it, they criticized the decision to do it, and then they criticized the location. They said it's close to the dump and all the flies going to be over there. And every criticism has turned out to be nonsense. And so they continue, the track not finished. What do you mean the track not finished? We had sports over there, we had inter-primary over there, we're now having football.
You saw the crowds over there for inter-primary.
So nobody's denying that a stadium will come. But the bottom line is that the facility, because whilst you talk about, naturally, the track for the athletes, I will tell you, you go there at mornings and afternoons, you see ordinary citizens also using the track for their health and wellness.
Of course.
A lot of people walk there, a lot of people jog there, and I think that is what it was intended to do.
Indeed.
Let us take this call, Eric, and go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Hello?
Good night.
You're on the mark, go ahead.
Hi, I've got a question about the government price. And it sucks to me. What is going on? Will there be any more exports from the government price?
Will there be any more exports?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, caller, we had done some exports, as you know, to St. Martin, I think, primarily. But COVID has intervened. And after COVID and the sort of lockdown that we were experiencing everywhere, that was put on a back burner. So the Honorable Alexis Jeffers has not ruled out the possibility of further exports from our quarry. But for now, we are clearly focused on getting the Nevis economy back on track and getting things here running again. Bear in mind also that we'll be doing quite a lot of roadworks here, and therefore using a lot of quarry material, and a lot of construction has been happening here on the island of Nevis. It's been one of our primary responses again to COVID-19. So all of those factors put together, simply to say that that has not been a priority for us at this point in time, but we have not ruled out the possibility of doing exports of quarry material in the future. Honorable Eric Evelyn,
yes,
we are talking about your accomplishments.
Yes. Well, since we started off with the Mondo track, we're going to stick with sports for now. And let us focus a little bit on cricket, because we just spoke about athletics, and we spoke a little bit about football. And of course, in the area of cricket, Honorable Premier, I would have spoken about this passionately in the House when we had the budget sitting in the Nevis Island Assembly, and I would continue to speak passionately about it, because the Department of Sports, we have some excellent programs with regards to cricket and our young cricketers. And I continue to say that it's because of these programs that we have at the Department of Sports why our young cricketers continue to excel in the way they are excelling. For the past couple of years, since I've taken over as the Minister of Sports, before the pandemic struck, we had a number of our young players going off to regional tournaments, and of course we know that the icing on the cake came this year when we had three of 15 players for the West Rising Stars West Indies under-19 team from the island of Nevis.
Did we not have another in the reserves as well?
Yes. So we had Onaje Amre, Jaden Carmichael and Colin Boyne Tuckett in the 15, and Anderson Amadan in as the reserve, right? And so that is a massive accomplishment for the island of Nevis. And I'm proud as the Minister of Sports that it happened in my tenure.
Of course.
Because it happened because of the fact that my ministry and my Department of Sports continue to push our young people. The development programs that they have for these young people are what were able to take them to that level. And so we can definitely say, well, it is because of the programs that we have why our cricketers were able to reach at that level. And so we want to thank the folks at the Department of Sports for the tremendous job they have been doing. And I want to congratulate those young cricketers again, because we must recall that the last time that we had 3 players in any West Indies team was in 1998. 1998 was the last time that we had 3 players in any West Indies team. And so I am very proud. It's a signal achievement for the island of Nevis and a signal achievement for the Ministry of Sport to have 3 players. And we just didn't have 3 players, Mark. The players them shone and shone brightly.
Of course.
I
remember watching Najee Amri clean bowl the Australian captain.
Yes.
You know, and then he was very economical and he bowled well. And the commentary in relation to him, I thought, suggested to me that not just him, but the others, they're going places as well. Let's go back to the phones. No? Yes? Let's try this caller. Caller, good evening. You're on the mark. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the mark. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was trying to, good night to, Alexis Jeffers.
Alexis isn't here tonight.
Yeah, what's the Whitehall cricket field right now? That's where the anti-Tomba cricket.
Well, the thing is, as you speak about Whitehall cricket field, the thing is we have a lot of cricket fields on the island right now. Whitehall has been out of commission for quite some time. It is a very small ground. And so, as I said, it is out of commission, but the fact is, in the parish of St. James, we have the VOJN field, which has had some excellent upgrades over the years, and a lot of cricket is being played there. So it's not that St. James is without a cricket ground. If you look around the island right now, we have cricket grounds in practically all of the parishes, and I'm sure the Premier is very proud of the grounds at Brownhill because he have gone there to look at cricket.
I'm very boastful about Brownhill. I think it's the best ground now.
St. James.
Yes,
St. James is the cricket ground.
Right. What I'm saying, right? VOJN. There's a spanking ground at the VOJN primary school grounds.
One of the best on the island.
One of the best on the island. It's well lit and everything, and so a lot of cricket is being played there. As a matter of fact,
we have talented players, right? And we have no recreation ground, and we need to go back and play cricket, but we have nothing.
You're from Whitehall?
Well, Whitehall is not eating ground where you all have been saying on that cricket ground. I haven't seen nothing.
Okay, in the meantime, as I said, right, there's an excellent ground at VOJN. Almost everybody has access to transportation right now, and so if you want to play cricket, you can go over to the VOJN grounds and play some cricket over there.
Okay, thank you.
All the very best. Thank you very much. All right.
I think that's important, that we have perhaps not had every single ground, but every single district, every single parish has sometimes one or more grounds.
Indeed.
I was very impressed with what I'm seeing at Brownhill.
Yes.
I went there the other day, and the ground there is in impeccable condition.
Impeccable.
Kudos to the guys, them Jabal and Nutsi and all of them who work hard to get it ready. But it is in impeccable condition. We go here, we see the ground at Ramsbury, where we are supposed to be making some upgrades shortly. We see, of course, ETW. We see the ground there in Cotton Ground, where we have also made upgrades. We see over there at VOJN, we see down at Swamp.
Of course.
You know, I mean, there are grounds all around.
Indeed.
And I believe that there is something else that you should report about the sporting facilities.
Of course.
And what we're doing in relation to that.
Of course. I was going to that as well. Because in terms of our sporting facilities, ever since I got in as the Minister of Sport, I indicated that there are some sporting facilities that do not have bathroom facilities, and I would endeavor to ensure that all sporting facilities should have access to a bathroom facility. Of course, as you would have rightly said, COVID-19 came, 2 of our years, we had to curtail a lot of the activities that we were doing. But I'm happy to report that we are right now in the process of building a bathroom facility over at Zion, because that one was without a bathroom facility, and so we are endeavoring to get that one done. There has been more cricket being played over there, and the young men of the Eastern Cricket Club, they have said, well, listen, we need a bathroom facility, and so we are endeavoring to get that done. And so during the course of this year, the guys will have access to a bathroom facility and a little storage facility as well. And of course, we know we still have to get one at the hard court there in Gingerland. We have to get one at Cotton Ground, and we have to get one at the Villa. And so we have to get one at the Ramsbury Ground as well. And so we are doing things sequentially and purposefully, and we will ensure that all of the grounds, all of the sporting facilities are bathroom facilities. And I'm very proud to report as well, Honorable Premier, that very soon, all of our grounds will have lights. And we are currently doing a lighting project right now, which started last year. And what we are doing is that the lights on practically all of the fields that are lit right now, they will be retrofitted with LED lights. And so the lights will be upgraded on all of the grounds. And we have actually started that project with 2 grounds that did not have any lights. I'm speaking about the ground at Zion and the ground at Hard Times. So we would have started the project with those 2 grounds, and very shortly, very soon, those fields will be lit. And you know, as you said, Mark, a while ago about criticism, it's unfortunate because, you know, people have been clamoring for the fields to be lit all these years. And we are undertaking that project now. And I was a little taken back the other day when somebody mentioned to me that someone from the Zion area, I guess, doesn't have anything else to say and has to criticize, and is saying, oh, the poles are too short. Now, we have Mr. Ian Ward, who is a part of that project, an experienced person. We have Mr. Delashley Shamari, who is spearheading the project. They are all experienced in lighting, and they have indicated that these poles are high enough to accommodate the lighting. Now, if these are the technicians, and they're saying that these poles, because when the project was being rolled out, Nevlik indicated we have the tallest poles that we can provide to the project, that they would be adequate. So instead of this person now commending the fact that the grounds at Zion will be lit, the best thing he can say is it pulls them to short.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Hello?
You're on the mark.
Mr. Brantley, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Yes, good night, the Honorable American.
Good night. How are you doing?
I'm good. My question is, while you were on the topic about like different projects and so going on in Nevis, my question is to you guys, how do you feel about the projects that you said you have done, which are not completed and are over budgeted?
Which projects are those that you say are not completed and over budgeted?
Well, could you name me at least 2 or 3 projects that you guys completed and didn't went over budget?
The Mondo track, the phase that we undertook, is completed and within budget. The park at Pinnes is completed and within budget. The pier at Oali, this phase that we undertook, is completed and under budget. That's 3. You asked for 2.
The phases that you all took?
Yes.
We do things in phases.
We indicated that we were doing the project, and we indicated the phase of the project that was being done, and that has been completed.
Okay. While you're on the talk of ground, the people of Bansgard, for a while now we have been asking for a ground in Bansgard. I mean, I've heard you mention other parishes and so on, and it's quite strange that the only village that doesn't have, well, basically don't have a ground, but produces like cricketers and netballers and so on, and we don't have a ground. I mean, I heard you
not cutting you off, sir, but are you saying that you just mentioned that Barnsgate is the only village that does not have a ground? Are you sure about that?
Well, I'm not sure if it's not the only village, but we haven't have a ground at all, and we have produced many people that represented Nevis and a whole. And no, before was mentioned that we could use the ground at Cotton Ground, yes, but the streets are not lighted.
Caller, what is the connection between the streets being lit and the ground? I'm trying to understand.
I'm saying that you said that we should use the ground at Cotton Ground. By the time the place starts to get dark, we have to leave. And most people finish work like after 4, after 5. Those time the place is gonna get dark.
But the ground at Cotton Ground is lit.
Sorry?
Isn't the ground at Cotton Ground lit?
He's talking about the street lights. You're talking about the street lights?
I'm talking about leaving from Cotton Ground to come to the village.
So you're saying from Cotton Ground, the 5 minutes from Cotton Ground to Barnsgate, if you don't have street lights, you can't get home?
I'm not saying you can't get home.
So what are you saying? I'm trying to understand.
For people, it's not safe for the younger fellas them to be walking up the road. You're saying it's 5 minutes? But how long it would take for somebody to go missing? 2 seconds?
Okay, caller. Well, I hear you. I'm not so sure that I agree with the rationale that you're bringing to the discussion. You talk about a play field, a ground in Barnsgate. And I have spent a lot of time in Barnsgate, and I wonder where in Barnsgate you would propose that a play field go.
Well, you should be the one telling me. You're the one running the government. And I mean, there's been some hurry about the lands that being sold in Barnsgate, and I haven't heard anything. I mean, if somebody's selling their land privately, I mean, there should have been some kind of assist looked into from the government side. The lands that were being sold up there.
Yes.
That is sold by the gentleman that owns the bank, and it is alleged that you have some kind of ties with the bank.
Okay,
and
caller.
so seeing that all these lands are being sold and you guys know about it and nothing is being done.
Okay, caller. Well, I need to correct, because you see, propaganda is one thing, but on this show we deal with facts. One, I have no connection with any bank, so let me make that pellucid.
Sorry, I said it was alleged.
Well, I'm correcting you so you don't make the allegation again.
Okay.
I have no connection with any bank. Secondly, if private landowners are engaged in a transaction, I'm happy you said the word private. The government is not involved in that in any way, shape or form. What we have sought to do in relation to lands in Barnsgate, because all of us understand the limitations in Barnsgate. Barnsgate used to have a basketball court there, and that basketball court was the land there, from my understanding, was taken up when a community center was built. And since then the people of Barnsgate have made the case, and I think a legitimate case, that they had something in a basketball court that they no longer have. And so we have tried various ways to see how we can resolve that particular issue. But to me, there's an even bigger issue than a basketball court. And that issue has to do with land for the people of Barnsgate and for the village generally. Barnsgate is sandwiched between some of the most expensive real estate on the island of Nevis. You have Paradise, you have Four Seasons, you have, what is this place called? Fernhill. And the real estate over there is quite expensive. And so we have engaged the dominant landowner in the area and are currently in discussions with him about the possibility of acquiring some lands in order to allow the people of Barnsgate an opportunity to expand. Otherwise the village will be restricted to the size that it is now. But I think it is disingenuous for people to say that private landowners are having a transaction. How is the government supposed to interfere or engage with that? Other than for the government to go in and compulsorily take land from people. And this government that I had, if we take land from people, we must have the money to pay them, because that's what the law says we must do. We're not like those who were there before, who took lands from divisions and never paid. That is not our approach. And so you talk about Barnesgate having a playing field. And that's why I asked the question, because really there is no area in Barnesgate available to create a playing field. What we are concerned about as a government is to see whether lands could be made available to Barnesgate residents for housing, and whether or not we'll be in a position to replace what Barnesgate lost when they lost the basketball court that was taken up when the community center there was constructed. So I just want to make that very clear, caller, so that we don't get into the propaganda and what people allege, but we look at the cold hard facts of the situation. In the interim, I think that those in Barnesgate who are passionate about sports, they have a full field at Cotton Ground for basketball, for cricket, for football, that is 5 minutes away. And the reason I know it's 5 minutes is because I have walked it. It is not far away at all. And not that we are saying that that is the best solution, but for people who are passionate about their sport, it provides a solution. And so, caller, when you're going to tell me that there's no street lights so you can't somehow go to the Cotton Ground field and enjoy a game of cricket or football because there are no street lights for the 5-minute walk home. Well, I really, what happened, Eric? When you were boys, you used to go moonlight promenade, and
yes,
we used to
walk.
I
Walk around the island.
Some of the arguments that are advanced. So, caller, I'm not seeking to minimize your concerns. I'm simply saying that there are different ways to look at situations. And in most countries, you will not find playing fields and sporting facilities within such close proximity as 5 minutes to each other. Because people will say, man, that's a little jog for the guys to run down, do their sport, run back home, whatever the case may be. So we understand the passion in Barnesgate because you had something, the basketball court, which was no longer there. We understand you saying that Barnesgate has never had a playing field, and that is true. But there are lots of other villages who equally don't have a playing field. I'm sure you go around Nevis, where there's Victoria Road, you go around, you find villages. I can probably list quite a few Braziers, the whole of Braziers. You don't find. Hamilton, no playing field. And the people from Hamilton, the people from Craddock Road, the people, not Craddock Road, I'm sorry, Government Road, what have they done? They've gone to ETW.
Yes, but ETW, you can manfully walk your way down because the street is lit. If you had made the suggestion and said, well, caller, I would look into the fact that I could look into getting some lights to light up the street, that will make it a lot more easier for you.
So, caller, I'm saying to you that yes, street lighting, and we're doing an island-wide street lighting effort right now. But I do not agree with you that the absence of street lights on a 5-minute walk is going to prevent you from using the facilities at Cotton Ground.
I am not saying it's going to prevent.
Well, if it doesn't prevent you, why are you making it an issue?
I'm looking at the safety. Would you allow your children to walk along that road at a certain time in the night? Well, even if it's 5 minutes.
But caller, if it is a sport, if they're there playing sport.
You said that you'd walk the road.
Caller, if they're there playing sport, which I anticipate that one will play 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and then as a group of basketball players or whatever, you're walking back to Barnesgate for 5 minutes. You're saying the absence of lights prevent you?
And if I could add something as well, Premier.
Yes.
Caller, I understand where you're coming from, but this pandemic has taught us that out of every negative situation, there can be a positive. Okay?
That's true. But
right?
I mean,
so
the whole world is feeling the pandemic.
I understand, but what I'm trying to say, caller, is that I understand your issue about the street lights and so on. But what I'm also going to tell you is that almost every household have access to vehicles. And if you do not have, you can pool. So if there are persons who are going to the Cotton Ground field to play and they do not have transportation, they can organize for someone, if you think it is too dark for them to walk, organize for someone to go and pick them up.
but it is not that easily done because most people in Nevis have at least 2 jobs. There are hardly times where you can actually get to spend time with your children to go and play sports and so on, because the people in Nevis have to be working 2 jobs.
Caller,
to trust the fact that you can let your child go down the road and reach home safely. I mean, just looking at the safety is another thing. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, caller, we hear you. And we understand the point that you're making. As I said, I still believe very strongly that individuals who are in fact interested in sport have the capacity and the ability, and sporting fields close enough to them in brilliant condition, lit and ready for them to use.
Hello?
So we take your point and we will have to leave it there. Okay? Thank you very much. All right. I suspect, Eric, that the caller is not somebody that could be persuaded other than the position that they're holding. I am very clear in my mind that some of the arguments that are advanced when tested, because I look at it and the caller is right, we all are concerned about security and safety, but I keep harping on the distance between Barnsgate and Cotton Ground, and I can't stop harping on it because when you think about going from Government Road to the park, it's a longer distance,
And then we also have to remember as well, Mark, and as I said, out of every negative situation that you think, there's a positive, because Nevis is a small island and we have a lot of playgrounds here, a lot of courts in the Mark. Per capita, I think we have a lot, and so there's some islands that you have to drive miles and miles and miles to get to a playfield or to get to a hard court. And so we understand the situation. As you rightly said, Mark, it's not that we're not minimizing the situation, but as you rightly also said, Mark, there is not any government land that is available in Barnscott right now to build to have a playing field either. And so we have to take all of that into consideration. But we must remember that that small little island of Nevis, we have per capita, I think we have more than enough playfields, basketball courts, and we need to utilize them, because the argument also comes sometimes that we build these things and then they're not utilized.
But Eric, I think you hit the nail squarely on the head.
Yes.
Because you look around the island and you ask yourself, how many of these facilities are being put to good use? How many of them? You can go and see basketball being played, netball being played, you're seeing all of this. All of them are now lit. Sometimes they're lit and the lights stay on for hours and hours and nobody's there. So we need to also look at it, because I think that our community clamors sometimes and says, my village don't have one and that village has one.
Right.
When in reality we should be looking at how do we better utilize what we do have.
Indeed.
Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yes. Now, you remember in the days when Nevis only had 3 lights?
No.
When I stay in St. Kitts and I look up, he had one down by the pier, and then he had 2 going up the long part there to go over Gingerland. And the one farthest and the farthest end, he look like a man up there smoking cigarette. That is how dull the lights were up in Nevis. And you had a lot of jumbie on the road them time. And people gonna walk from where were they going? Even though there was no street lights. People used to walk, but now look at it. Anywhere you turn your head, you have a lamppost light. So I don't see why people should fear to walk on the street. And let me tell you something, Brother Mark. If they got a big fire over Gingerland, over the way the horse racetrack is, people will run from over the by Long Point on foot go over there, go watch the fire, But to go for something else again, no, they wanna ride. From to go 500 meters, they wanna ride. So therefore, there will no need for nobody say that the street them need lighting up. Nevis got more than lights up. They look like a Christmas tree. Now let me go on the environment again, brother Eric.
Yes, sir.
I wish that you could have a program once a week to talk about the environment and trash. Because down here we have a program to deal with trash and where people dumping illegally. And that's been going on for years. But over the past year, things change on the program. Now, people depend on us in the public to call them and tell them where we see people doing wrong things. And where we see garbage not supposed to be there. But when you pick up the phone and you're calling them to tell them, well, you see somebody throwing out the greasy cooking oil in the drain, they ain't picking up the phone and they're chatting, yapping. So therefore, when the people may see nobody come to consult them and ask them why you have to be throwing your garbage in the drain, they continue doing it because we cannot get to them to tell them, you know, the wrong thing that people are doing. So I wish you had a program in the week that we could have called you, because you see the numbers that you give out to people to get in contact with you, that is so good. So that's my little input again. You know, that's why I call back in. I'll call back if anything, and I have time.
Thank you very much.
But don't take on the propaganda from nobody.
All right, sir.
It's good to make your view and your point, but when a propaganda is a propaganda, dump it.
And as we were making the point, Mark, about having a lot of facilities, and you know, they are utilized, yes, but there could be a lot more use. I mean, like, since I've been the Minister of Sports, we have resurfaced a number of hard courts around the island. We have resurfaced the one up in Gingerland. We have resurfaced the one in Bath Village. We have resurfaced the one in Jessops. We have resurfaced the one in Cotton Ground. We have resurfaced the one at Whitehall. Now, I still believe a lot of these courts are underutilized. So in essence, we are making things better for you. We are making things more comfortable for you, but we want you to utilize the fields. And so we are doing all this resurfacing, and of course we will be resurfacing the netball complex this year and the tennis court next door, and we will continue to resurface to ensure that all of the hard courts that we have on the island, they are properly surfaced, and so people do not have an excuse not to utilize them. But we also want people to utilize them because we have to spend money. And so now we're going to make sure all of them are well surfaced. We're going to make sure all of them are lit, and we want people to utilize the courts, utilize the fields.
In terms again of your accomplishments as the minister, could you tell us again the courts that you have resurfaced and refurbished since you have been there?
Okay, we have resurfaced Gingerland, we have resurfaced Bath Village, we have resurfaced Jessops, we have resurfaced Cotton Ground, we have resurfaced Whitehall. That's quite a bit.
And I believe you have plans to do some more very soon.
Definitely. We're going to very shortly, we're going to be doing the netball complex in Charlestown, and we're going to be doing the tennis courts as well. And we are trying our best to ensure that all are properly resurfaced. And so, but we want people to utilize them.
And I'm making the case publicly because we've talked about it for brown pasture as well.
Yes. We need to do that one for brown pasture as well.
Good. Let's go back to the phones and check quickly. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello. Yes, you're on the mark.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, what I'm saying, the call that was going to make a valid point, because people so interested about playing cricket or whatever. I guess, you're talking about, you go from different area. You made a statement there. But if the young people are interested about having, go to play again, they should have, maybe got transportation. If they're interested, let them go to play again. Let them get a chance. They should be able, at least to have, right to say, in the area. Like when you leave from there, if you want to go home, because you know how right now, how things go. How you don't know who you do. And I believe that's what it's supposed to be.
Okay, thank you very much. In terms of the lighting, you've spoken about the lighting, of course, of the fields.
Yes.
I think that's a major project.
Huge, it's a massive project.
Under your watch.
Yes.
I just want to say to this call and others who are talking about lighting that we have also embarked although that has not fallen to your ministry, it does impact the environment.
Indeed.
Because we have embarked on a massive lighting campaign throughout the island of Nevis, street lighting, so that all the street lights on the island of Nevis are being changed from the old lights to LED, which are, of course, energy efficient and better for the environment, as indeed we're doing with the playing fields. And, of course, we are spreading out across the island. Areas that didn't have lights before, we're now putting lights. So, caller, again, we're not trying to minimize the need for lights. We are, in fact, engaged currently in lighting the entire island in terms of street lighting. And so that is something that is already planned, it's already being executed, and I'm sure that members of the public out there will bear me out, that in the various communities they're seeing lights being erected all across the length and breadth of the island of Nevis. In fact, I believe that we got something just over 4,000 street lights, or what came to Nevis in order to build out that infrastructure here. So that is already ongoing. It's another signal achievement, I feel, of this administration. Eric, before we get to your next accomplishments, we run out of time. We only have about another 14 minutes. Let me take this call quickly. Good evening, you're on the mark. Okay, we've lost that caller. Eric, so tell us a bit more.
Yes,
in terms of what you would say are some major things that you've done.
I have a lot more to say, but I'm gonna zero in right now on a little bit on culture. Since I've been the Minister of Culture, we would have done some major upgrades at the cultural complex. We would have done some improvements at the cultural village, and a very signal achievement, Mark, would have been the construction of the David Freeman Center of Excellence.
Fantastic.
In the heart of Gingerland. And I think the people of Gingerland ought to be extremely proud of that facility, because practically everyone who goes to the facility falls in love with it, Mark. Practically, I don't think I've heard not even one negative comment from anyone who have entered that facility. And I think that is a major achievement for me as the Minister of Culture, and for the people of Gingerland, for the constituency of Gingerland. Because, of course, we know that practically all of the activities for culture or any other cultural activity are normally centralized in Charlestown. And we wanted to decentralize some of the activity. We wanted to have up there, as it suggests, a center of excellence, because we also realize that since we have been growing up, Gingerland has been the hub, or the area where we get a lot of our cultural art forms, the masquerade, the string band, and so on. And so now that we have that facility, we will ensure that we teach persons the art of masquerade dancing. As a matter of fact, we have already have classes there for masquerade dancing. We've had classes there for five playing. Of course, we know that the facility was named after David Freeman, who was an excellent five player, the maestro.
Yes.
And so we want these cultural art forms to continue. And so since we've had the launch of the David Freeman Center, we've even seen the revival of the Honeybee String Band. Excellent. And I believe that facility there in Gingerland is what sparked the interest of the guys in Rollins to bring back the Honeybee String Band.
Well, I can tell you, Eric, that I agree that is a phenomenal achievement. In fact, when you had the Kaiser show, there were some musicians who came over from St. Kitts.
Yes.
And one of them commented to me that he was blown away. He didn't expect to see something of that standard. It's sort of in the country area.
Right.
And so I think that is certainly a feather in your cap. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Yeah, Marcus.
Yeah, good evening.
Good night.
Hey, what's going on, man? How things?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Talk to me.
I got a concern.
Yes.
What really happened, I got a piece all over a prospect that I work. And I have some jelly trees there. And people come in there, they come already, they pick about 60 to 70 jelly and they pick all and they gone with it.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I say, well, okay, let them move with them. More gonna come.
the TBA jelly again. They come back, they do the same thing. This is a concern to me, Marcus. I just want the person who come into and picking my jelly all the time to understand that they don't plant them tree. I plant them and I don't give them the permission to come to pick my jelly. And I'm going to make a report to the police station tomorrow self. Because me ain't going to play around in a Marcus. So me call in here. Me don't into no problem with nobody, eh? And that's my concern, brethren. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Thanks, Buffalo, and I'm really sorry to hear that. I know how hard you work. I know you're a man who believes in hard work and working for what you want, and I really feel the pain because people should not go around stealing. Jelly now is selling for good money. People are selling jelly water for good money, and frankly, if you're selling coconut water, you're going to buy the coconuts in order to be able to turn around and sell. And anybody stealing 70 and whatever coconuts, you got to be them myself.
That is sad, man.
So it's really unfortunate, and I keep saying to our people, that old thing about doing to others as you'd have them do unto you. You can't have a man out there toiling by the sweat of his brow and then you just go and thief for the man put down. So not see, I feel your pain. I agree with you. Report the matter to the police station, and I'm hopeful that whoever is engaged in that will stop it. This predator larceny has to stop because agriculture is hard work.
Of course.
And when people go out there and work and nurture the crops and bring them to, and then people just go and steal them. It can't be right. It cannot be right. And we must develop a better society where we look out for each other. And we understand that when a man doing this and this is his livelihood, we don't do that to them. Let's go back to the phones quickly. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
On the mark?
Yes, you're on the mark. Quickly.
Yes, good evening. I'm just calling concerning Burkina Faso. You know that the African nations expelled Burkina Faso recently because of the coup that took place in Burkina Faso. So my question is, what are we doing as a federation in terms of our diplomatic relations with them?
The short answer is we are not doing anything because we have not got the level of engagement with Burkina Faso at this point where we are engaged with them. Our engagement with countries that have difficulties such as they are experiencing would largely be through the multilateral forums such as the United Nations.
So don't we have diplomatic relations with that country?
We do, but I'm simply saying that we do not, because we have diplomatic relations doesn't mean we don't have an embassy there, for example. They don't have one here. So we have
so are you going to continue diplomatic relations with a country that has a junta as the leading authority? Like, are we thinking about severing ties with them?
No, we are not thinking about that at this point. We are still in the process of gathering information. We can't just react every time something happens in a country. We have sometimes to gather the information and to decide in a strategic way what we do. Severing diplomatic relations is a very serious matter, and it's not something that one would do easily or quickly. So, situation in Burkina Faso is a situation that continues to unfold. We will have to wait and see how that develops.
What are you waiting to see? The African Union has expelled them, which means that it's sufficiently serious for them not to be part of the African Union. So why are we continuing?
Caller, you've asked me and I've tried to answer you. You're now asking me why are we waiting? There are a number of countries in the world that take decisions in relation to other countries. That doesn't mean
I'm asking you, Mark, because you're the foreign minister.
Well, and I'm trying to caller.
I can see your picture now.
Caller.
Let me finish.
Hello.
Allow me to finish.
Excuse me.
With which you announced diplomatic relations.
Caller, in this show we have a conversation, and if you can't listen, then this is not the show for you. You've asked me a question, and I'm trying to explain to you that we do not respond because other nations respond. That is not how St. Nevis does things. And if you had been prepared to listen, I would have gone further to say to you that, for example, Nicaragua had a disputed elections recently, and the United States and many other countries have condemned them. We did not sever relations with Nicaragua because the United States and others have condemned them. Venezuela has had problems. We did not sever relations with Venezuela. And so all I'm saying to you is that the situation in Burkina Faso is a situation that we are looking at. You seem to be saying to me that we must act and we must act now because the African Union has done something. Well, that's a matter for the African Union. The African Union doesn't set policy for St. Kitts and Nevis. And that's all I was seeking to explain, caller.
You see, my question was somewhat prejudiced because I don't think it's benefiting in any way with relations with Burkina Faso unless you can enlighten the population what are we getting from the relationship with them. That's why I was asking, to be honest.
All right, caller. Thank you very much for your question. And if it is that you look for what the country is getting from relationships, we have relationships now with almost, I think, about 180 or so countries. We have diplomatic, we have visa waiver relationships with 161 countries. So the truth of the matter is, caller, that if it is simply based on what we're getting, then there will be very few countries that we'll have diplomatic relations with. So we engage with countries because, for example, African countries, we think it's an important engagement. Our people originated in Africa. The South-South cooperation that we're trying to promote is important. And expanding our footprint in Africa is important to us. So it may not be benefits that are immediate, but these are building blocks towards a better relationship with our African brothers and sisters. So I hope that answers the question, caller. Eric,
yes.
We have 4 minutes. I'm going to give you the benefit of those 4
All
minutes.
right. Well, as I said, I did indicate from the beginning that I would need a lot more time because, of course, I'll come back some other time. Of course, I didn't get a chance to go into a lot of what I had to say in terms of my accomplishments as a minister. But, of course, my work is there for people to see. And I am going to just recap what I would have said earlier with regards to the month of February, because the time is running out. In February, I want to do a cleanup in the Gingerland area in the constituency of St. George. And so this coming Saturday, February the 5th, and on the 12th, we'll be focusing on white goods. So we'll be doing a white goods cleanup. We'll be having bins at Zion, Hickman's, Rollins, Hard Times, Hanley's Road, and Clegot. And if you need assistance in getting your items to the bins, you can call me 662-6043, or you will be able to call one of the truckers who will be servicing the bins. Then on Saturday, February the 19th, we are looking for that to be a constituency-wide cleanup. We want all the villagers, all the constituents to be involved. We want everybody to keep their area clean. And of course, we're going to be looking for persons to come together in little groups to keep certain roads clean as well. So you're going to be hearing much more about that. That will be for the 19th. And then on the 26th, we'll be having a beach and coastal cleanup. And so that will be taking place in Indian Castle Beach and the surrounding areas. And so I'll be looking for the support of members of the constituency, and any information, any additional information you need, you can feel free to call me. And as I said, we have to ensure that we keep not only Gingerland clean, we have to ensure that we keep Nevis clean and pristine. Cleanliness is next to godliness, and I just want to ensure that we keep this beautiful paradise clean. And of course, as we wrap up, Mark, we just want to remind folks that the screening for A Week in Paradise is going to be on Saturday, the 12th of February. Make plans for that at the Malcolm Gishard Park. Of course, it has been a pleasure, Mark, being here. I think we were able to get a lot of information out to the general public, and I'll be looking forward to the support from members in my constituency for the cleanup effort in the month of February. Thank you very much for having me, and let me say good night once again to all.
Eric, it was an absolute pleasure. I enjoyed the engagement. I enjoyed the conversation. To those who called, thank them very much for their calls. And as we like to say in this show, we try to be a forum where we can have meaningful discussion, share ideas. We don't always agree, but we try our best not to be disagreeable. Eric, thank you. It was a pleasure having you. I think that your month of activities is absolutely fabulous, and I expect that the people of your beloved parish will come out in their numbers to support these very important initiatives. I'm sorry we didn't get even a quarter way into the accomplishments, but let us pledge to come back.
Yes.
Because I think it has to be an ongoing conversation. As we said to the people of Nevis, this is what our stewardship has been like. This is what we've been able to do. And that is why when we come again, we're asking you to increase the momentum. Thank you. Good night. And God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.